Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to go on a pretty delicious journey through a formal Western menu. We're going to break down every single step, from that very first bite all the way to the final sip of coffee. It's going to be super simple and clear. So, have you ever sat down at a really nice restaurant, you open up the menu, and you just feel a little lost? All the different sections, appetizer, main course, dessert, it can be a lot. But don't you worry, we are about to make sense of all of it. Because that's what we're here for. We're going to decode this thing together. We'll walk through a typical Western meal, course by course, so that the next time you're out, you'll feel completely at ease. So first things first, what even is a course? Well, the easiest way to think about it is like a chapter in the story of your meal. And a full meal, it tells a story that builds up, right? It goes from lighter dishes to heavier ones, and then it always finishes with a sweet conclusion. And, every good story needs a fantastic opening. In the food world, that's the appetizer. So what's its job? Well, just like the name says, an appetizer is a small, light dish. It's designed to wake up your taste buds and get you excited for the meal without actually filling you up. It's kind of like the perfect warm-up act. And you'll often see some real classics here, like a warm soup, a nice crisp salad, or some simple, delicious bread with butter. Oh, and you might notice the bilingual labels on our slides, a pretty cool way to pick up the terms in another language. All right, so once your appetite is officially awake, it is time for the main event. This is the absolute star of the show. The main course, or 主菜, this is really the heart of the whole meal. It's the most substantial dish, and it's usually built around a central protein. So we're talking a juicy steak, some fresh fish, or maybe a really creative vegetarian dish. And what does that look like in the real world? Well, think of the all-stars. A great steak with potatoes, a perfectly grilled piece of fish, or maybe a big, hearty plate of pasta. This is the dish that the entire meal is really built around. But, a star almost never performs alone, and that's exactly where side dishes come into play. These are the smaller dishes served right alongside the main course, and they're designed to complement and boost all those flavors. And oh yeah, we all know and love these, right? We're talking about things like French fries, creamy mashed potatoes, or some simple steamed vegetables. They're like the amazing supporting actors that make the main course truly shine. Okay, now, after the main course, things can get pretty interesting. We're about to enter a potential intermission, and it is a cheesy one. This is where we run into a really fascinating debate in the dining world. So here's the big question. If you see a cheese plate on the menu, where in the world does it fit into the meal? And this is where we see a huge cultural difference. In the US, cheese is almost always an appetizer, something you have with drinks before the meal even really begins. But in the European tradition, especially in places like France, the cheese course comes after the main course, like a savory little bridge that leads you to dessert. And a real cheese plate is a course all by itself, right? It usually has this amazing variety of textures and flavors, from something soft and creamy like a brie to a sharp, tangy blue cheese like Roquefort, and it's often served with crackers and fruit. It's a whole thing. Okay, so after that savory little detour, it's time for the grand finale, the sweet ending to our story, dessert and drinks. Dessert is that final, totally satisfying note of the meal. It's a sweet course, and its whole job is to give you that perfect sense of closure to the entire dining experience. And this can be anything from a rich, decadent slice of chocolate cake to a cool scoop of ice cream, or maybe a delicate fruit tart. It's just a wonderful, sweet send-off. And of course, we've got the drinks. Now, while beverages like wine or juice are usually enjoyed all through the meal, the real final touch is often a hot cup of coffee or tea, and it's usually served with your dessert to just round everything out perfectly. So if there's one key takeaway from all of this that really shows a cool cultural difference, it's this. In the US, cheese is generally a starter. In Europe, it's the bridge between your main meal and your dessert. It seems like a small detail, but it says so much about different dining traditions. And there you have it, from that first light appetizer to that last warm sip of coffee. With this little guide, you can now walk into any restaurant and navigate that menu with total confidence. It really gets me thinking, and I want to leave this question with you. What's a food tradition from your own culture that might totally surprise someone from another part of the world? Food is such a universal language, but it's all the different dialects that make it so fascinating. Thanks for tuning in.